Would you ever go on a wild adventure because of a TV show? Happened to me. I had this celebrity crush on this not very hot guy doing very hot things on TV. I was watching him cook over the fire, outdoor. It was this big production, you guys. It was sexy. There was fire, there was wine, there was burnt tomatoes, there was fish cooking. I was in awe, and I was curious and was inspired to take some action. Next thing you know, I am literally booking tickets to go to this guy's home country, Argentina. And no, I was not stalking him per se. I just wanted to cook like him. So I grabbed my own cast iron pan and his cookbook, and I went. So I get down there, and in the cookbook is this elaborate setup to cook a fish over the fire. And I wanted to do that. So I got a fish and found a 10-foot piece of bamboo, secured the fish to the top, over the coals, propped it up with a log and a rock. And there I was, pretty damn proud of myself. I don't know if you guys can picture it. There is a fish cooking, and I'm standing there. Sweat is dripping down my face. My cheeks are burning from the coals. I'm covered in scrapes and ash. It's not quite as sexy as a TV show, but I'll tell you what, a couple minutes later, that fish was done. Yes, you guys, this is me living the dream. I'm dirty. I am eating a simple fish next to the fire, slaving over something I could have ordered in a restaurant. This was so good, yet also so completely different than my life just a few years before. Back then, my life, it had all the things. I had the good job, the good house, everything in order. And one day, I was in my office, downtown San Francisco, when for the first time ever, I felt an earthquake. And I remember the building shaking, and I grabbed onto the table, and I was scared something was going to fall on me. And I said to my team, "Oh my God, you guys, an earthquake." But they just looked at me puzzled. "What are you talking about?" was their reply, kind of laughing at me. It turns out there was no earthquake. Nobody else felt it. It was only me having a panic attack. I created this. I was the cause. My heart was beating out of every cell in my body. I thought I was going to fall over. And I realized the building is not falling apart. This was me falling apart. And my team, they just stared at me. And I really wanted to find an excuse. But there was none. I thought, something is really wrong with me. And they were looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And as I stood there, I realized it was everything. Everything. My brain had been tormenting me with chronic thoughts. I don't like my job. I don't feel good. I don't know what to do. Over and over. It was like, what the hell? I just went to school, got an MBA, got the job, and now I'm practically failing at life, feeling pressure to make somebody else's company successful while at the same time having no confidence to leave. I used to say the only part of my day I liked was being in line at Starbucks. I knew something had to change, but I didn't know what. And then, you know what happened? It got so bad. I was feeling so crappy, you guys. You know what happened next? My mom sends me a YouTube video, an inspirational YouTube video. And I was like, no. But I was curious. Laptop open on the bed. I watched it. The message resonated. And from there, my obsession with inspirational YouTube videos was born. Now, over the next year, my strategy for life would drastically change. I watched thousands of videos, all basically saying the same thing. If I could learn how to change how I felt by intentionally choosing new thoughts that felt good and were believable, then my decisions and actions would naturally change and my life could improve. And there's researchers like Sean Aker and Loretta Brunning all showing us the effects of positive thinking and happiness in the brain. So I decided to give it a shot. At the time, I had spent years saying something along the lines of, I want a business and I am curious and I don't know what. I spent years saying, I want a business and I don't know what. Over and over again, I want a business, but I don't know what. But after watching thousands of videos, I realized that the first thing contributing to self-sabotage was saying, I don't know. Saying I don't know energetically locks us into not knowing. We cannot know while we hold on to a belief that we don't know at the same time. So I decided to say instead, I want a business and I am curious what it will be. Now, I'm not a neuroscientist here, but let me explain to you what I learned. When we think a thought, our brain creates a thought pathway. And the more we think that specific thought, our brain pathway becomes wider and wider, making it easier and easier to rethink that thought. But if we choose a new thought that is believable and feels good, we can create a new thought pathway that leads to thinking and acting differently. Think of it like this. Near my house, I have these rail trails. These are wide walking paths built on old railway systems. So they're super wide, flat, no roots, no hills, nothing difficult. But I found this secret offshoot trail that hugs this beautiful rushing river. You guys, it's amazing. But nobody is ever down there with me. They are all up on the flat, well-known trail. Now, if I wanted to get down to the river and there was no trail, I would need to take out my machete. I would need to hack out the trees and the roots. It would be a lot of work and would still be difficult to get down to the river. But the more I would use the trail and use it and practice it, over time the easier it would be to show up and get down to the river. We do this by becoming aware of the chronic negative things we think and intentionally change them to more positive thoughts. When we do this, we feel better. We get new ideas. We are inspired to act in new ways, and new opportunities develop in our life. You guys, the chain of events here is very powerful. So, as I decided to say, I want a business and I'm curious what it will be, I was creating a new thought pathway. And honestly, it took me a couple of months to really practice this and feel better. And then a couple more months, I was feeling lighter. And then I had my moment of clarity. And I thought of the business I would start. A wine importing company. Now, at the time, I knew nothing about wine or the industry. But over the next 2 years, I worked my way into the wine business. And by worked my way in, I mean I took 10,000 baby steps, each one an inspired action stemming from an intentional curiosity. But, like a lot of things in life, I took my stress and my financial issues with me. On one hand, I was doing great. I was growing the company. I was selling to famous restaurants. I was setting up distribution all over the country. But on the other hand, I was making zero money. I worked 7 days a week and was so stressed that I would just stare at my computer, reworking my to-do list over and over again, getting almost nothing done. And you guys, this was the first 5 years. I had the idea that if I was to start a wine importing company, then I would make good money and enjoy life as a business owner. But it turns out, when you start a business, all you get is a business. It is not a magical solution for wealth and ease in your life. But the good news is we can course correct along the way. We have something that we just don't know what to do about, and we intentionally lean into curiosity and take inspired actions from there. The next 5 years went very differently. I realized that I had been focusing on the mechanics of growing a wine business, buying and selling wine, which is very different than focusing on establishing wealth and ease in my life. I realized the most important thing I needed to do was to become aware of my brain saying things like, "Where's the money? I don't know if this is going to work. I'm so stressed. I don't know what to do." All that stuff. And intentionally shift out of that and back into curiosity with having wealth and ease on my mind, not just buying and selling wine. The next few years, you guys, it was another 10,000 baby steps, but this time leading me from a path of stress and debt into a beautiful life of flow and abundance. I was then curious about bringing more meaning to my life, and I became a life coach on the side. I sold my business and have been mentoring ever since. And after 8 years of coaching, I know this works. Thousands of people every day are commenting on my socials, letting me know the strategies are working. Be curious, feel better, take inspired action. Choosing to lean into curiosity leads to feeling better. Feeling better leads to inspired action. Inspired action leads to the adventure of changing your life. So, let's try this out right now. I would like to invite you to think about something in your life that you just do not know what to do about. This is like the thing, you guys. This is the thing that's getting to you. It's the hardest thing. Is it something with your body, your kids, your business, your finances, your partner? For a moment, feel the heaviness of not knowing what to do. And now I invite you to take a deep breath with me and say, "But I am curious. I'm curious what to do. I'm curious what to say. I'm curious what a good path forward might look like." Can you feel that? It's curiosity. A world where we are all being curious and taking inspired actions is an empowered one. I like to sum it up like this. When we can change how we feel without anything else changing, everything can then change.